Good afternoon. It's a privilege for Mr. Driscoll and myself to be able to talk to you a little bit about our shared experience of his Zavarian legacy, the life of Theodore Ryken, and where we're at as we celebrate this Founders Week. We've chosen to do this in video format so that if there were some kind of internet difficulties on Zoom, you'd all have a really clean experience with no audio being garbled. My name's Chad Peklowski. I graduated from Zavarian Brothers High School in Westwood, Massachusetts in 1998. And I've now been teaching there for the past 15 years, 11 of those as a full-time campus minister. The network of Zavarian Brothers sponsored schools is something that has always been very important to me. And I know the same is true of Mr. Driscoll as well. So let's give him an opportunity to introduce himself.
Hello everyone, as Dr. Peklowski just mentioned, I'm Mr. Driscoll. I'm a campus minister at St. John's Prep. I've been here for 3 years. Previous to that, I was at Malden Catholic for 8, where I also graduated. So to say the least, I know the Zavarian tradition. I live for it. I know a lot of the brothers. I worked with a lot of the brothers over the years, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight, this afternoon, and I look forward to giving you a little perspective of Ryken and working with Dr. Peklowski today to try to talk a little bit about what it means to be leaders and a part of the network.
When Mr. Horgan asked us to talk a little bit about Founders Week and XBSS and what it means to be part of the Zavarian legacy, I have to admit, it was a little daunting. Things are different this year. Most of our schools are either hybrid or remote. The kinds of activities and opportunities available for us to do, from sports to extracurriculars to campus ministry programs, is limited by this pandemic. And it can become very easy to miss out on the fact that our experience is mirrored in the life of Theodore James Ryken and the brothers themselves. You know, I was looking at the TV and there was a shot of the Christmas tree that was put up in Rockefeller Center. And it's this tree, and it's just the saddest looking Christmas tree you could ever want to see. And I said to myself, wow, that's the perfect tree for 2020, but also I felt a lot like that tree. Maybe you do too. Maybe all of this is exhausting. I know that the students that I teach seniors, they are most definitely not thrilled to be learning online. And I'm sure that's probably the same experience for many of you. And I guess that's where the idea of choice begins. It's very hard to be the tree that is supposed to be the one in Rockefeller Center. This tree, it's shining, it's radiant, it's got all the lights and everything in one place. It just looks better than when this tree arrived. Now I have some friends who live in New York City, and they told me that it's often the case that the Christmas tree arrives not looking full. That actually they then have to take branches from other trees and they fill it in. So the outcome, the outward appearance of this tree is that idea of everything in its right place and it looks perfect. But that tree didn't get there alone. And sometimes we try to pretend like we're that nice, radiant, happy tree, when really we feel like this one. I know that that has been my experience. Because we encounter difficulties in life. You know, Ryken experienced a pandemic as well. When he was trying to figure out and discern his vocation, he went to help out where there was a cholera outbreak, and he got sick himself. And so, although this is a unique time in our history, it's not that far away from what Ryken experienced. And just as he didn't begin the Zavarian Brothers alone, nothing that we accomplish is ever done in a vacuum, then it's also the case that this tree becomes full and complete with the help of others, with the other people who decorate it. But even more importantly, the other trees that they use to take limbs from to balance everything out and make it complete. I want you to pause for just a moment. Who are those people, certainly at home, but think specifically at your school? Who are those people who support you, that help make you more complete, whose support helps fill in those branches that you know you can depend on when you're feeling like this 2020 tree? You have to pretend to be the complete and lit up one. Pause for a moment. Just think about that person or persons. Did you come up with a couple names? Because I'm sure you did. I know I come up with plenty, both from my time as a student, but also the people that I teach with and my own students. We all get through this together, but it's a process. And that's why I think the model of the Zavarian Brothers sponsored schools is so important. Mr. Driscoll and I have known each other for over a decade now. And although he graduated from Malden Catholic and now teaches at St. John's Prep, and I graduated from Zavarian, we're like family. And that's what I think this opportunity is great for. It's the opportunity for us to come together and talk about those traditions that we share, the history of the Zavarian Brothers, the experience of Theodore James Ryken, and how all of us are like these trees. And where are you as that tree right now? How has your experience of school during a pandemic caused you to struggle, or maybe helped you grow? How have you supported other people? Because I think that's the starting point of a lesson of what it means to have this interconnectedness and this legacy. To continue those thoughts, I'm just going to pass this over to Mr. Driscoll.
I'd like to continue about Theodore Ryken and being the tree. What does that mean? That visual stands out to me. The visual of it maybe not looking so radiant, so beautiful. And we know Theodore Ryken would not have founded the Zavarian Brothers, or he wouldn't have flourished without a little bit of help. The foundation is built from friends, people who supported him, people who were there for him. Sometimes, though, he was told things that he didn't want to hear because it didn't always look great. But yet he marched on in faith. What does it mean to march on in faith? It's about trust. Hence one of the values that we see in our daily lives during the school that we're with. We have to trust not only in ourselves and God, but with others. If Ryken was like that tree, look at all that he accomplished being that tree. And how does he do that? By trust. Allowing others to support them, support him, his mission. To continue to stick with the analogy of the orphan, a poor, uneducated person that's missing a lot of limbs, that's not a good-looking tree. What if even with the help of others you look radiant on the outside, but still feel like that tree on the inside? That's perfectly okay. That's where the real work starts. That's where Ryken work started. He builds his relationship with God through that. So I think the one question that you're probably asking yourself, well, how does Ryken do it? How does he find these people around him? We turn to the fundamental principles to get a little understanding of that. A band of brothers who mutually help, encourage, and edify one another and work together. That's what it's all about. Trusting in one another. And I think that's so much easier said than done, and maybe I'm making it a little bit too simple. And I wanted to just expand that thought on the idea of this fundamental principle and maybe the term that you've heard of standing on the shoulder of giants and what that means. And in order to do that, I wanted to take you out of the chapel and bring you to another location at St. John's Prep. And I'm going to bring you there, and I'm going to explain a little bit why I did. So just bear with me. See, as you can see, I brought you to the cemetery at St. John's Prep where the Severian brothers are, and you might be saying to yourself, well, that's a little odd. But the reason why I do that is because this is a constant reminder of who those brothers are, who mutually helped each other, those giants that are the foundation of the network, or of Theodore James Riken. And it's also a location that I enjoy coming to pray and to get that source of strength that I hope to meet the people and continue the mission, and to be the one that can be a source of strength for the Severian community. Because at times it can be difficult to try to live on that legacy, just like Riken had difficulties. It's not always particularly easy, but when you surround yourself with the people in the community of the Severian brothers, the brothers and sisters of all of the communities that gather us, it is a powerful statement of who we are and what we can be. We can be that beautiful, radiant tree. I know that your school is, I know that you are. Bring that mission, bring that beauty to all of the people that surround your daily life. Trust in them, trust in yourself, and trust in the Severian Brother mission. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Poklowski. Thank you.
So I hope that that was a useful reflection to begin our conversation. You know, those of you who are here are involved in so much of the ministerial part of our schools, the campus ministry, the different activities. And it's in those activities, in all aspects of our school, obviously, but particularly in those activities, where we have the ability to bring that vision Theodore James Riken had to life. And this is a great time to start that during Founders Week. So I leave you from our chapel here at Severian Brothers High School in Westwood. Look forward to getting to know some of you, and I will see you all shortly.